Alright, hey everyone! Welcome back to another WRP live play TTRPG session. What is WRP? Well, that's me, Faye, game master and storyteller, and Lachlan, our writer and producer. We're a couple who love sharing stories, so much so that we quit our day jobs and we created our own company. That way we could create high quality and exciting TTRPG experiences full time and share them with you. And tonight we're playing D&D. This session features D&D's Shadow of the Dragon Queen, a riveting adventure of courage and valor, where our intrepid heroes face unbeatable odds in a cataclysmic war. With us at the table are several of the incredible players who have joined us on our grand endeavor. If you'd like to play alongside them, you're more than welcome to join us as well. You can ask in chat or hop over to our Discord to find out more information. Now, speaking of our awesome players, it's time for introductions. Like I said, I'm Faye, game master and storyteller, and with me is Sirenscape, bringing our background music and sound effects. It's a fantastic and affordable sound collection that you can find at sirenscape.com. And now, let us meet our courageous, daring heroes before they go through the door they last opened. And we'll begin with an introduction for Vass.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm playing Vass. Vass is a devilishly handsome tiefling bard rogue who has found himself accidentally stumbling across the multiverse. Fun fact about Vass this week, as we've seen, he does like conjuring his flame blade when he can, which he has named Pat Scimitar, which he uses to hit you with his best shot with fire all day.
Go ahead, take an inspiration point for that.
I gotta use my inspiration because I keep getting new ones and I can't record them.
Oh my gosh, just, you gotta use it. You gotta use it.
True.
Uh, Amazing.
That scimitar.
I love it. Next up for our introductions, let's learn about Hugh.
Hi, I'm Stefan. I'm playing Hugh DeVere, a flamboyant fencer. My fact for Hugh today is that he first started his journey towards getting weird nature powers when hunting. He encountered a deer with 4 antlers and 4 eyes, and he followed it deeper into the woods. It was super creepy.
Amazing. Totally not anything else hiding in the woods. And next, last but not least, let's learn of Rue.
Alrighty, I am Frontboard, and I am playing Rhubarb Bafflewander, a forest gnome sorcerer from the Isle of Sandchrist, far to the west of our setting. You probably know him better as Rue. I guess just for a little refresher, Rue's older than the rest of these kids he's rolling with, over 100 years old. He's got kind of unruly white hair that seems to have a mind of its own. And the fun fact, I don't know if I've used this before, it feels familiar, but I'm going to say it again, that Rue never combs his hair. He just wakes up like that. For better or for worse.
For better or for worse, especially with those red streaks. And with that, we are good to begin. You are at the Blue Phoenix Shrine. And when you arrived, there was a group of pilgrims who had come. They make the trip, it seems, yearly. But this one was different, as they ran into the Red Dragon army. But an offering to a figure they call the Sea Lord has to be made. And you decided to help. After figuring out how to open the door through much trial and error, you made your way in with Ishvern, the now leader, as the priest has fallen. You washed in the sacred basin, and you bypassed an altar and a remembrance hall. And through a bit of looking around, unsure of how to get further, Vass took a moment to honor those who came before with the offering of a trinket, a kingfisher wooden bauble, won at the fishing contest during the Kingfisher Festival. And with that small act, the door leading from this room beyond words opened. And it is there we will pick up. You have an open door to the next portion. What do you do? Do you go
So-
forward?
Vass was around the corner making this offering, right?
No, if you look at your map, where you're standing is right in front of the stairwell. And so Vass could have made the corner, or he could have gone to the other one, but you
Gotcha.
know where Vass is at. Vass approached one of these and left the offering.
Pictured going towards the one on the right, so the furthest from the door is how I pictured it in my head.
Okay, then yeah.
That's where I am.
I think Rue would call back out again, and like at the end of the last episode, Vass, I opened the door.
Oh, that's great. Good job.
I just focused on it, kind of like the front door. It didn't feel the same, but the door still opened. I don't know what happened.
No, it's a mystery.
Shrines like this usually are. Is Ishvern kind of right there with us?
Ishvern is in this room, and seeing that the door is open, his hand goes to the belt that he wears, as that is where he has the offering. So he's just making sure it's still there, it seems.
Yeah, Rue would turn to him and say, this is your shrine and your offering. You've been leading us through. I feel like you should proceed forward down this path with your offering.
Then Ishvern goes first. A nod and a quiet thank you. And we'll move upwards the steps. Do you follow?
Of course.
The steps ascend into a room covered in thick black algae. You see at the center of the room a well, and from it emanates the sound of distant waves. the cries of seabirds. Ishvern looks around, making sure that it is safe. Everything so far has been tossed and turned. But this, it seems, remains just as it should be. Ishvern moves to the well and gives a brief prayer spoken in soft Elvish. And from the pouch on his belt, there are several of those deep blue pearls dropped into the well. And as those pearls click into the well, small sounds of almost water droplets that bounce off of the stone. You feel a presence overcome you. And you will all gain Habakkuk's blessing, which I will get for you here in just a moment. And apologies to our viewers for a brief moment. Maybe we should just do a pop-out version. Maybe next time I'll set it up for that. But you guys get the blessing here. So,
Interesting. Well, that certainly speeds us up, huh?
it does it not?
I was spelling Habakkuk wrong this whole time. All
And
good.
you're one of our Dragonlance nerds? Oh.
It's been a long time, Faye.
So. As you feel this, Ishvern turns to you after a brief moment of his respects, and I thank you for what you've done. I will accompany you out of the temple, but it is our purpose here completed, and perhaps in the best light for me and my companions to be on our way, so as to not risk any more dangers.
Where will you go after this?
Home. We will go home.
Where's your home?
Deep beneath the ocean waves.
If your travels take you far west to Sandcrest, find and warn my people of what's going on there in the forests there. I know that's a long shot.
I do not believe that my travels take me so far. We are closer towards the east, though it is more northerly that we travel. But if you find your call on your travels, as we do not know what has befallen her, tell her that we have been successful and that we return home.
Understood.
His travels.
And you as well.
I like really want to like look around and like pilfer stuff, but I also don't want to desecrate this shrine. So
I mean, you just got blessed by a god. Maybe you don't want to.
exactly. Like
I
that
just picture
algae.
Rue on the way out. Rue on the way out is like, oh, look, a kingfisher carving.
Totally.
Blessing revoked. But, you depart outwards, and it is becoming evening by the time that you exit the shrine. The wash has remained low, though who knows how long that will be the case. You can continue a bit further this evening before setting up camp. But as you do so, why don't we get a perception or survival check?
Is this wash-based survival or just survival?
This is not wash-based survival.
Okay. Wait, what do we have? That?
So, between all of you, you are able to find an area a bit elevated to settle in for the evening and take your rest. Are there any conversations after your experience with Ishvern and the other sea elves? Or do you rest as normal?
We would just say that those elves seemed somewhat more hospitable than the ones that we encountered out east.
Definitely.
Yeah, the ones out east were rude and not more strategic thinkers if they didn't think there was a relationship between their stuff and our stuff in the Dragon Army.
In this evening, as you are beginning to bed down, Hugh, you are the first on watch. Can you roll for me your perception check this evening?
20.
A figure is approaching your camp. Humanoid, but familiar. As you see Ishvar makes his way over to you. And hail, Samaritans, travelers. I have not lost you, it seems.
Well met. What can I do? What can I do for you?
You have helped us out before, just this very day, and I ask if you will help again. Not, it is not something you must set off this evening, but after you left, as I gathered my people to be ready to leave, a scout returned to me. Those that were captured, they know where they've been taken. The Sea Elves have been imprisoned at a dragon army camp. It lies in the middle of a murky lake. If you have a map, I will be able to provide a marking of where it may be found. If you will have it within your heart, please seek these captives and free them. I have not much, but I have these. And he pulls the pouch. There are some of those deep sea pearls, those deep blue colorings. They will fetch a good price at any market that knows their worth. I would say, Vash and Rue, it is early enough in the evening that you are able to easily overhear this.
Well, gladly. Oh, Hugh only speaks for himself, but I believe we should be able to assist you. Friends, what say you?
Down.
Where his companions and friends are, others might be. Who knows who we could find? Maybe Becklin? Who knows? Seems a worthy lead.
Thank you.
Is it Rue that has a map?
I feel like Faye says that I do, but Rue claims he keeps it in his head.
I feel like Rue says that a lot, but ends up like spending half the time looking and then putting it away, and then just using that to kind of pull everyone into the ruse.
Oh.
So
I mean, it is like one of his like passive traits to be able to have like an uncanny knowledge of terrain. But you might
maps
be
are
right.
not terrain.
True. Well, let's see. What's it say? It says you have an excellent memory for maps and geography and can always recall the layout of terrain, settlements, and other features around you. So.
Because you're always looking at maps.
Yeah, it's because you're always looking at maps.
Well, memory is a very, it's up to your interpretation then.
And you're getting up there in your age there, so
Oh, shoot.
I'll throw that out there.
It's my second brain is always carrying the maps.
So
Sure, okay.
Yes, do we have one to show?
Rue will like begrudgingly dig into his pouch and be like, yeah, this thing, I think it's in here somewhere, and like make this big display of like really hunting for the map deep in his pouch. Who knows where it actually is? And he'll present the map to Ishvern.
Alright, so it's not going to be prettified until after session, um, where I'll give you like a full icon. But, there is the marking of it. So the little purple splotch. It's loading, so it'll take a little bit of time, but
Well, that's not terribly far from where the portal.
you're right. It's not terribly far from the portal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, dang it, Sirenscape. So,
I need my other map open still then.
as you have Ishvern's marking on your map, as well as the offering of the pearls, what wasn't given to the Sea Lord. And the rest of your evening is undisturbed, and each of you gain the benefits of a long rest.
So that means we lose our temp HP.
It does mean you lose your temp HP. But hey, at least you didn't run into anything that made you have to lose it in another way. And why don't we get perception rolls this morning?
I feel like that tracks with Vass's morning state of mind.
16.
It seems that over the night and early in this morning, the wash has become high. The canyons are filled with water that comes from the turbidious ocean. Luckily, it seems that this has happened with enough time that you avoid the flash flood. Your campground high enough, secure enough. And now, I believe it is Rue's turn to roll for me a d20.
19.
Okay. Then I ask, where do you wish to go on your pursuits. You have the Sunward Fortress to the east. You have a portal that could get you closer to where those captive sea elves are, also to the east. Though a little bit more due east than the northeast of the Sunward Fortress. Which direction do you head?
I was gonna say the captives is probably time sensitive, but I guess we're in a race against time for all of these things, so that's not necessarily unique to just captives.
Yeah, I'd lean toward the captives because we probably find a dragon army set up there. Maybe we can learn more about their location and their intention, although we kind of understand their general intention, and could potentially gain some allies and find some prisoners, and we can always double back to that tower to look for information. Hopefully the tower will always be there, the prisoners might not.
Mm-hmm. We should get the prisoners. We could use allies in this situation.
And we want to go through the portal, I assume, and not go overland.
That seems wise.
Oh, I hope there's not another creation guarding this portal again. I hope it's safe this time.
Well, there's one way to find out.
There is only one way to find out. And that is by packing up your camp and heading outwards. But it is not terribly far into your journey this day that something comes forward to disturb your plans. You've perhaps been walking about an hour, 2 at most. And again, the waters here are high. Which means that you're dealing with perhaps potential threats that you hadn't before. I know that Hugh is going to see this, but let me just double check everyone else's passive perceptions. Hugh and Rue would spot this. And Victoria is here. Just T-posing in the background. Hugh and Rue. There are fins that travel close to your group. Out of the water. One. And then a second. There are dark, sort of oblong bodies that seem to travel beneath the waters. And then Rue. Being the smallest of your group, you also seem to be the most bite-sized. As a massive shark comes out. Huge. Larger than anything you've ever seen. With a 16 to hit.
Oh yeah, that definitely hits.
You are bit. And pulled backwards towards the water. As you take 22 points of piercing damage.
Oh,
and we are
boy.
rolling initiatives.
What?
Good deal. Oh, look at that. We got a natural 20. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love the pleading of please be dolphins. Unfortunately, that is not the case here. So we have firstly Hugh. Then we have our sharks. Vass. And then Rue. Hugh. You just saw Rue get bit and then dragged into the water.
I am going after him and attacking that shark.
Go for it.
Okay. So, spell, Hunter's Mark. And action. Right. Stock strike, so that is a 10, which I assume is a miss.
Unfortunately, the 10 is a miss.
Does a 12 hit?
Comes closer, but unfortunately does not seem to pierce through the thick hide. Just misses.
Hang in there, buddy. One of me.
Our
Be strong.
sharks
Be brave.
are going to go. And the shark on Rue is going to try and chomp again.
I used my reaction this time to cast shield, which
can
I should have
definitely-
done last time.
That is a 23 to hit.
Oh, well, that doesn't matter. But yeah, that'll hit.
Okay. 4. That is 19 points of piercing damage.
Yeah, Rue's down.
And then we have the other shark going after Hugh. But that is an 11, so that'll miss. Vass.
Good lord. So if I were to take a potion, is that a bonus action?
A potion is an action.
An action.
Hmm.
Okay. Vass is going to drink his potion of water breathing,
Okay.
and then he's going to very gracefully dive into the water.
Okay.
And if he I don't know how far he can get once he's there, because I don't know how far he was away from the edge of the water, but if he can get to Rue, he would like to do that.
I'll say you can get to Rue. Of course, it puts you right next to a giant shark.
Yeah, awesome. Love it. Can you only do an attack with your offhand as a bonus action if you've already attacked with
Yes.
your main one? Darn. Okay. Well then. I think that is going to be it for me. I don't think there's anything I can do as a bonus action right now that'll be helpful.
All right. Oh, and that reminds me. I've got other things on. All right. Rue. It's your turn. You are bleeding out in the water from the puncture wounds of shark teeth. Can you roll for me a d20 for your death save?
17.
That is a success. Rue, what was the last thought you had before you went down?
Why was I standing so close to the water?
Okay.
This is why we don't go in the water. Or near the water. It's why we live in trees.
Sounds good. And with that, Hugh, will come to your turn.
I'm frantically trying to swing my weapon to get to kill the thing that's attacking my friend.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, for the love of
Oh
the
no!
second 3.
The nat 20 hits though. Oh, and that's gonna be max
Oh,
damage
and
with the
look
way
at
that we
that
do
roll.
this. Go ahead, roll for your D4, your dreadful strikes too.
That's one dice. Okay, 3, and then for Hunter's Mark.
Yep. So with your crit, in total, that's going to be 36 points of damage, which definitely gets it releasing Rue. So Rue's body is now sort of free floating in the water.
Okay. Well, I don't suppose I don't really have an action I can now do for him, but at least he's not being actively bitten.
At least he's not being actively bitten. It is our sharks go after Hugh, and we have a shark that is going to try and bite Hugh. The one that was just struck. Which will miss with a 17. And then we have one in the water that is going to go after Vash. But that also misses with an 11. So, Vass, it is your turn.
Hey, I would like to grab Rue,
Okay.
swim to the surface to try and get him on land, which I'm sure will get an opportunity attack on me, but that's fine.
That will provoke an attack of opportunity as you pull Rue away and towards the land. Which is a 26.
Yeah, that'll hit me.
And that'll be 29 points of piercing damage.
Oh boy.
Can I get Rue to the surface to put him on dry land?
Easily. He's not
Okay.
that far
Is
off the
that-
edge.
I have a feeling I know the answer to this question, but could that count as interact with object and be part of my movement?
I would say because Rue was free floating at that point, it was easy enough to grab hold of him and be part of the movement.
And as my action, I would like to administer a second level cure wounds
Go for it.
on Rue. Ooh, that was a great roll. 18 hit points.
Alrighty. And I'll have to refresh my page because it's not pulling up rolls. But Rue, you are back up with 18 hit points. And Rue, it's your turn. You're prone on the ground. Vass is right there. You hear the sound of sharks. You see Hugh somewhat on the edge, somewhat in the water, fighting these things. And you're soaking wet.
I mean, these sharks probably can't get out of the water if we just run, right?
If you get far enough away, you might be able to just ignore him.
How far away from me is Hugh?
Not very far, maybe 15 feet, like that.
Vass is looking pretty crappy next to me too, I think. It looks like he also took a massive bite. Hugh, I don't think this is a fight that we should be taking.
I came in the water to save you. I agree.
Alright. Do you trust me?
Could not survive without you, my friend.
Alright. As my action, Rue wants to cast Vortex Warp on Twin Spell, on Hugh and Vass, and just like teleport them as far away from him and the sharks as he can, which is, the range is 90 feet.
Yeah, you have a visual of 90 feet towards a not channel of water where these sharks could maybe appear again. So, inland, 90 feet, easily done.
I need to knock down all these points. Hold on one second. I need to see if I can reduce... I got too many mechanics here.
We were just talking about Lunar Sorcerer mechanics earlier this day.
Oh, let's see. I'm in Lunatari phase. I cannot use my mechanic on Vortex Warp, so that'll just be the full 2 sorcery points to cast the twin spell. And then I've got to find my budgets and all that crap. Okay, so that was my action. If they're willing, they will Vortex Warp 90 feet away. And then Rue is going to activate the magical powers of his Forest Shroud to teleport 30 feet closer to where those two are, and then use his full 25 feet of movement to cover as much ground as he can to get closer to them again and put as much distance between himself and the sharks.
I just need to... Yeah. You easily can do that. So... I will say, with you being 60 feet away, Rue, and your companions being 90 feet away, that you are no longer bound by initiative.
Really 55 feet away, but
Yeah, well,
it's all good.
close enough.
Ooh, round up.
Yeah, we'll round up here. The sharks cannot get on land. These are not land sharks. Though maybe in the future.
Oh, shoot.
No. So they just stick to the water channels, and you know, it seems now to be a bit safer to stay away from the water channels when the floods come and the water is high. But you are all safe.
Are these saltwater things?
Yes, they do come from the ocean, so they are
Okay.
salt water. Right. Due to your blessing from Habakkuk, the difficult lands here are not so troublesome. You are able to make your way back to the portal in just about half a day's journey,
Oh, nice.
even with your rough start this morning. If you'd like, at any point, either it be after you got out of the fight, during the trek over, or when you reached your portal, you may take a short rest, if the group decides, as some of you are perhaps a bit wounded.
I am all for a rest.
Seconded.
You doing all right over there, Hugh?
Yeah, I'm good. Hugh is complete and unblooded.
Well, maybe you can kind of just keep an eye out while Vass and I take a little siesta here.
Of course.
Yeah. Bass will take out his lute and play a quick tune for Song of Rest so that myself and Rue will get an extra D6 of hit points.
Hell yeah.
It's a nice song, Vass. I don't know if I've heard you play that one before.
The new one I'm working on called The Ballad of the Sea Lord.
I'm sure it'll be a hit once we make it back to Kalaman.
Okay, so that's
So we get a
some
short
there.
rest. You said a D6?
D6. I could never get my short rests to work on here.
You click the rest, then I
Let's
think you have to
try.
click the number of dice in the boxes, and then you have to hit take short rest, I
Yeah,
think.
I do that, and usually it does not work. Yeah, my hit points didn't change. So I'll do it manually.
I think you have to click the box. You click the 3 boxes, then you click the number below it, and that makes the roll. 17.
Oh,
And then you
I'm
hit the
gonna use
take a
another
short
one.
rest.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the sneaky part. That's right. You have to click the box below the boxes that click on. What a mess. Oh, and I got a +6 to that too, so I'm at full. And then I think
I'm not seeing another box. I see the boxes for the dice and take short rest and reset.
the number, when you click the boxes, it changes like 1D whatever plus whatever. You can click on that box between the little boxes. Right, like if you click on one of those little boxes, it should pop a thing up. You fill in the boxes that you want to take the rest
Mhm.
for. And then you can click the
Yeah.
thing with the heart and it won't roll.
No.
It's
Oh,
fine
there
if we
it is.
gotta do.
Ah,
Hey, there we
oh,
go.
yay.
Yeah, hit dice heal.
Whew, okay, so I've used 3 of my 6. I'll write that down.
Okay. And as you all take this short rest, you keeping a vigilant eye over the companions that need the rest. Vass strumming a simple tune. This is where we must take our first ad break. So, stick around with us. We will be right back to continue our story with what might wait on the other side of this portal. But before we head out, I will ask that you guys hang out in our chat room. You let the ads run. Ads are a huge part of how we keep our games affordable here with WRP, so please don't mute them or leave us. You can always also make direct donations to our Ko-fi. There is a link for that on screen. Ko-fi donations not only help support us at WRP, but also unlock awesome perks for our entire community, benefiting everyone who plays with us for the next week, month now. Perks include special companions, double XP, then double treasure, and even new quests. So stick around. We will be right back. Alrighty, we are back in action. And you guys have completed a short rest next to this portal. Luckily, there does not seem to be any more golems around it. But what do you all do now that you've rested? It's about midday at this point.
Well, I think we should keep on going.
What if someone's on the other side?
And we kill them or make friends with them.
I probably would have said that in the opposite order, Hugh, but I appreciate
Just
your enthusiasm.
going by statistics on what we do with people, I think it's more likely that's the
There's no in between.
Punch first, ask questions while punching.
I mean I'm saying either or. I wouldn't say try one then try the other.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm certainly not going through first. I'll give you that.
Oh man, this has got to be like Vass's worst nightmare of like going through a strange mystery portal, even knowing that.
He has a lot of anxiety about it right now. His stomach's a little bit in knots. He's gonna have to steel himself to walk through the portal, so he's not going first either.
Well, I guess it's a repeat of last time where Hugh just walks right in.
He's not even taking note of your reluctance. You just going.
I think Rue would notice Vass's trepidation, and whether it helps or not, he would just kind of reach out and like touch him on the probably like the forearm, just be like, "It's gotta be okay," and cast guidance on Vass. And then Rue will step through the. Actually, maybe he'll wait just to make sure Vass makes it through okay, and not leave Vass behind.
Well, you want me to go next to go next? You're gonna go last? So,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go through the portal now. Okay.
I want to be
Nothing
here.
wrong with this idea.
I'll be on this side. You will be on that side. You've got a friend on each side. We're both here for you.
You know what? If I end up in some other crazy world, it was nice getting to know you guys, and good luck with the rest of your heroic endeavors. And then Beth will begrudgingly walk through the portal.
Okay.
Once Vass goes through, Rue will follow.
As you travel through the open portal, there is the tingling miasma of teleportation magic that crackles in the air. And then you're on the other side. You stand atop a plateau, and again, the wash is high around you.
Looking for sharks.
Well, why don't you roll for me a perception check?
That's an 8.
An 8. You don't see any sharks. If anyone else would be looking for sharks and would like to make a perception check, you're welcome to roll as well.
I just assume we'll be fine because we always are. But take a look.
I love that about Hugh. Just take an inspiration point there. With a 26, you don't see any sharks, Hugh, but of course, why would there be? Vass, you also do not see any sharks. But what Vass and Hugh do spot, it's a bit of a distance. Maybe a few miles. 10, 12. But you see it because it's on a raised platform similar to that which you stand on currently. And what it looks like is some encampment. Likely what has befallen those sea elves. It would take about maybe just over another half day's travel to reach there. As you'd have to worry about covering the distance and then climbing up to its height. So more likely you'll be, by heading in its direction, having to bed down for the evening before continuing on in the morning. Which perhaps might aid your cause, give you time to learn your risks, the threats that you might face. Vass and Hugh are easy enough to point it out to Rue. And Rue, as soon as you're alerted of it, it does take a bit of a squint in the glare of the sun.
Squinting.
But you can see it.
That's where they're keeping them.
Recon might not be a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Rushing in there, guns blazing.
What is your plan as you step outside of the port?
We probably should head in that direction. Be mindful of scouts or scouting parties. We could also hold our distance farther away and cover some ground during nightfall, although that would probably be... I don't know what dangers there are in this area at night, crossing all of these ravines and such that we're probably going to have to cross.
Well, they are currently filled with water, so it does make it a little easier, as the wash is high.
Interesting. Looks like the
Do you have
ravines...
any ice magic?
No, I don't think anyone in your group is cool enough for that.
Is there
I took
DM
a D4
inspiration?
damage with that one.
Puns are great.
I can't talk about dealing out psychic damage because I did a pun for my fun fact.
And I enjoyed it thoroughly. Um,
Is there anything around us in the way of trees or anything that one might craft a raft out of?
you see a lot of rocks around you.
Yeah. Looks like they're thrilled about the idea of swimming across all these channels, to be honest.
I mean, you can swim, right, Vass? You saved my life.
Yeah. I can swim, that's not the issue. Issue is what might be in the water that is looking for a pick me up.
Well, if we need to cross this water, then it's best to cross in the daytime, or we wait and see if the wash subsides, and we can cross on dry land or mud. But I don't know if that could be days, hours, weeks.
Could someone do a nature check to try and intuit a ballpark timeline for the duration of how of these canyons get being flooded?
I'd say nature or history would work here.
Based on
Well,
our
you
observations
has no
thus
idea.
far.
I think this is one of the first times we've really seen the washing in its this much glory, right?
Mhm.
Hugh, it could be anything, like Rue said. Rue and Vass, you know that it could last a various duration. The wash is unpredictable, and there are few of the river passages that stay filled, but that is the most sort of certainty that you get with the washes. Besides that, and danger if you are caught unaware by the times the canyons are filling. You could wait it out, but waiting it out brings the ever passing of time. Will it be too late for the survivors, those captives that you are here to try and rescue? Will something else happen? Will there be another strange attack from the wildlife? Will your enemies find the City of Lost Names before you even get the chance? It could be hours. It could be days. I really do not know. Oh, you're muted.
On average, can we tell how wide the canyons tend to be? Like, are they of varying width
Uh,
or usually
they.
high?
So, the widest is. On your map, you'd see the widest of the canyons is about 6 miles in its depth, and that's down near Wakenreth. Most of them are not quite so expansive across, um, and can be with your capabilities as adventurers and with the blessing of Habazuk, swimming across, while it may be personally trying, will not be enough that will affect your overall travel. Though you might be a little sore in the arms and legs after swimming against currents.
Does the blessing work against for swimming too, for the difficult terrain?
If you do not have a swim speed, it counts as difficult terrain. Just basic, but I won't hinder you further because of the blessing. So it's not like you have to make checks for your swimming. It just functions as normal, which if you don't have a swim speed, difficult terrain.
I think we just need to get across these ravines and start making our way
Mm-hmm.
toward that higher plateau. We've got swimming, we've got walking, we've got what looks like climbing ahead of us.
Oh, I just thought of something.
Ooh.
If we were to, it's not a good thought. If we were to swim, I don't think there's any way for Vass to keep things like the bar gab, his instruments, dry. So now Vass is suffering an internal crisis.
I will say that the Fargab, um, while not entirely waterproof, is somewhat water resistant. So it may need some tuning up and drying out after this. But it wouldn't be entirely kaput.
Bag of holding would be really nice right now.
Bag of holding would
Um,
be pretty great. I wonder if you
Other
get one.
question. So now this, I don't know if we're taking this as canon or if it's just been flavor the other times I've said it, but like when Bass gets on stage and he like Pact of the Blade Warlock summons his lute in his hand, can he just like pop his lute into a little pocket dimension while he's swimming?
Uh, sure, why not? Like, we've used it in the reverse before, why not?
The far gap seems like it would be okay. It just requires some extra TLC once we're done swimming.
Yeah, a lot of rice. Um, so you swim, and you walk, and night comes as you are just at the base. You can see the fires glow atop the mesa at the end of your travels. Your bodies ache from the travel. Even experienced adventurers like yourselves. It has been a lot. You can try and push forward, push yourselves to the extreme, but you don't seem to be in an area that you are immediately in trouble. And may be able to continue in the morning after a bit of rest. What do you do? Do you press onwards? Or do you look for camp?
Well, I didn't take any hurt, so I'm fine going forward, but I'll leave that to my
Well,
merry
this
companions.
is more for the fact that you've already completed a full day's travel. You've covered 4 hexes total. So going
Mhm.
further would be pressing for exhaustion levels.
Okay. I think we should rest.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be climbing up this mesa in the dark unless the moons shine bright upon us tonight. And I'm just exhausted.
Then why don't we have survival checks to find a place to rest this evening?
Ooh.
Rhubarb, you are exhausted. And it is showing.
And I'm not good at finding good resting places in deserts. It's only forests.
You feel confident as a group with the area you bed down in. It's flat. It's a decent portion away from the water's channels, though hard to get fully away from them in this portion. At least you're not close to the edge. And as you bed down, the mesa off to the east, no, west. You could be facing southwards and then it is to your east. But generally, if your group is facing northwards, it is to your west. Night comes. Taking watches. Q. You are the first to take watch. Go ahead, roll for me a perception check.
20.
20. The fires burn atop the mesa where the camp is said to lie, well into the evening. When the lights become low, just enough for perhaps patrols, guardsmen. Definitely not as bright as when you all had settled down. But the waters are calm. There doesn't seem to be much that disturbs this evening, and your watch finishes without issue and without surprise. Rue, you are next on watch. As I've not been told that there's any change to your standard procedures. Will you roll for me a perception check for your evening's watch?
I'd like to add my standard guidance and bardic inspiration from a frog trinket on top of that, if possible.
Sure.
Let's do those in reverse order, because guidance is a d4 and a d6. So we're going to add, cool, 8 on top of my perception. On top of a 14, 18, 26.
26. You are in the evening. You hear the cool waves as they carry on, and there's almost a lull to them. A lullaby that comes forward. But you stay awake. You have to. Lunatari is but a crescent sliver in the sky, but the others seem to be bright. Solinari, full. Nuatari starting to eclipse. But it is a pleasant evening. Better than the day. And nothing seems to disturb you or your companion's rest. Fast. Morning comes. And with it, your watch. Can I have a perception check?
Yes. I do want to say before Bass went to sleep, he laid out the fire gab, and any bits that come unattached or whatever, he took them apart and laid them out so that they would dry. And
Yeah.
when he wakes up, he'll check on them to see how they're doing, if they're dried out yet.
Roll for me either straight intelligence or insight.
I'll do insight, considering I have expertise. Day 22.
22. They've been out for a few hours. It should be relatively dry. Maybe some more of the internal areas still need a bit more drying out, but nothing that wouldn't happen if it was a particularly bad rainstorm or something like that. It should be fine.
And I got a 16
And
perception.
16 perception. Smoke fills the air from the camp that had been marked on your map. It seems that they are too rising this morning early. You can hear distantly the sound of the din. No clear words or anything, but it is starting to wake up. And as you look over the channels in the morning here, the waters remain high. And you can see in the distance that there are a few crescent-shaped forms that jump over the waterline just off in the horizon. A few dolphins greet you this day. Not close, but with a 16 you're able to spot them as the morning rises.
Now there's dolphins.
Now there's dolphins.
Yeah, now there's dolphins. It couldn't have been earlier.
Couldn't have been earlier. But you all complete a long rest. And you have a morning ahead of you. A camp with captives. Not terribly far. What would you like to do?
I still think recon's a good idea. I'm fairly stealthy now that I have this nice adamantine half plate. Or no, is it half plate or is it the other thing?
I believe it's mithril.
Breastplate. Oh, sorry, and it's mithril. But wrong on both counts. Since I got this nice new mithril breastplate, I'm fairly stealthy. If um, if you want someone to scout ahead and see if we can get some eyes on the camp and the layout and the size, who's there, where are they at.
I mean, can, can we see the camp from where we are? Or did you say we could see
No.
like the smoke and the light and
You can
stuff like that?
see the smoke and the light. From when your campsite, you can kind of see the walls that surround the camp, but with the way that it is height-wise, you don't have a clear visual of what you're looking at.
So it's elevated above where we are.
Right.
But are we on the same piece of land, or do we still have another stretch of water to
No,
cross?
you are on the same area, so this no crossing water, but it is a climb upwards. If we were to say where you were at on the map, let me look at it real quick. Oh, goodness. Why is it doing that? Sometimes technology, I just can't. You are on the hex that is right next to it going towards the right, where you've got the 3 prongs kind of heading into the caverns. So, like, you are right there. can just remix my remix. And I'll do a green. X marks the spot. It's a really shitty X. I'm sorry. But you're in that hex right there, so you're able to look right up and see where everything's at.
So we could try and skirt a little bit southward and climb up, come in from the south.
But
And
that'll put you on the same even area as you head upwards.
yeah, true.
So if they've got scouts looking out,
True.
but you're the adventurers.
True. I mean, climbing these walls can't be much different from climbing trees, right?
How different can it be?
And we don't see any sort of like, I don't know, ramps or easier ways up over on this side by any chance.
I mean, it's not like it's a sheer climb, like it is an upward angle, but seems it seems well enough that you could free climb it and get up there. Of course, if you had climbing gear, it'd be a lot better, but it doesn't seem an impossible task.
So it's more like a scramble than a scaling.
Yeah.
Our forearms are not going to get a break while swimming, now climbing.
I think we all should just go up. What if one of us gets up there and gets overwhelmed and then we're split up? We came through all of this together so far, including the portal. Yeah, Rue wants to go up. I guess if someone else wants to stay behind, they can.
Cass will go as well. Before he sets off, he will carefully put together the sarcab.
Yeah, I'll say easily enough done.
I wonder how Darrett and company, Cudgel and Tatina, how they're all doing out east.
Yeah, it would be nice if we were within range at some point to check in. But I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I just imagine like a smash cut and you see them fighting the same two giant sharks. It's impossible because of the distance, but it's funny in my mind.
And Tatina's been gobbled up whole by one, just like Rue.
Yep, totally. Gnome
Guys, did this
solidarity.
one look like it was stabbed by an e-stock?
Yeah.
An stock?
What's this almost red hide-like thing, right? Stuck between the teeth. But no. Put together the bargab and you wistfully recall the others. Derek, Cudgel, to Tina and the rest of the Kalaman army. But you are here. Unfortunately, you are outside of the range. But there are figures that seem to need you ahead. Or at least that you've been asked to attempt your best to rescue, to help. So what do you do? Do you try to head south? Climb up from the southern end, put yourself on better footing before approaching the camp? Do you try perhaps to go to the north and approach from a figure there? Or do you climb up the side just as you are?
Much as I'd like an easier climb, some visual cover as we climb might be nice. But maybe not the south.
Yeah, south you'd be exposed coming in from the south. Like once you're on the mesa.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd be on level with the camp.
What do you think, Hugh?
I think that going up Hugh thinks he's can climb really well, so he's better going up the way with cover, because he's not worried about being more difficult.
Hugh's always going down the direct path. When we get close to the top, I could potentially turn you two invisible if you wanted to scout ahead. Or I could potentially just do it now.
As long as no one's getting
Yeah.
bombarded by any sort of attacks, you should be fine.
Yeah, I'll save invisibility until we're higher up, and then we'll see.
Okay.
Brew just hikes up his dope ass pants and gets ready to climb.
Have we all done our morning yoga so that we're nice and stretched out for this climb?
I'd say so. So, as you are, after you've done your morning yoga, of course, you ready yourselves. Why don't we just get a survival check to see how well you're climbing it in the morning?
Oh
That
boy.
it looked like a 16, but it landed on 3.
Um, I'm thinking I should perhaps use my inspiration here.
If you use it here, you'll be able to keep the next one I award you.
That's true. And I'm not liking that natty one. That's much better.
Your group ascends, and though Rue, it's not quite the same as climbing trees. There's a lot more slips and it's a little harder when your hand scrapes trying to catch hold. Your group ascends, And as you are rising it, you see that there is... It's not even a see first, it's a smell as you get closer. There's rotting fish and burning flesh that hangs thick in the air. And when you do crest over the edge, you see a fortified camp sitting atop cliffs that jut from the center of a muddy lake. It is ringed by immense bone spurs and makeshift wooden walls between. A wooden palisade surrounds a camp composed of tents, huts, a crooked watchtower. You see dozens of dragon army soldiers that keep watch around the camp as you duck behind a boulder after your ascension. And why don't I get you guys a map for the area that you are interacting with?
I love that this campaign has all these maps.
It's great.
Okay. So we got, looks like a prison area in the northwest.
Can we see all of this?
No, this is just for your... So these are the walls. Walls are about 15 feet tall. But because you are about to interact with this, I'm presenting you a map that you may utilize depending on what you would like to do here. I will remind you that it is morning.
Whereabouts would you say we came over the crest of the hill? Are we in the middle on the east side?
You are not showing on this map. You'd be down further south, having come from the east of this map. So you would have gone westward up, and then you are off map, maybe about 60 or so feet away from where the map would begin. So a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 5 is 30. So a total of like 90 feet away from the camp where you're bunkering down. So well enough that you're not in a range of hearing, but you do have visuals.
Are the gates open?
Probably not, but let me double check. So, the gates, as you see across the wooden bridge, do not appear to be open, and there are a group of 3 of the dragon army soldiers keeping sort of watch, posted right at those gates.
What kind of soldiers do we see? Is there any of the draconians?
Yeah, actually. The 3 figures at the door at the main entrance are draconian, all of them.
Which flavor?
You get 2 splody boys, the thick ones, and then the and then one you don't recognize.
Okay.
I feel like we're severely outnumbered here.
Yep.
As much as I prefer the direct approach, it might be better to sneak around this time.
Should we have someone sneak around the perimeter to see if there's any potential spots that might be easier to deal than others?
If someone would like to sneak around, I'll ask for a stealth check.
If you're sneaking around, I can help you with that.
Yeah, you've not released your invisibility.
Correct. Just, I guess it's. We came all this way. We should at least survey the area. I'm just worried that we're way outnumbered, and I wonder if our army would stand a better chance of liberating this entire fortress. But if we do somehow manage to get back in touch with them and
Yeah,
get them here, then the more
it'll take
intelligence
them
we
a
can provide to them,
while.
the better.
That may take a while,
Yeah.
is the thing.
I mean, if you two want to scout, I can make you both invisible for an hour and just lay low over here while you look around.
I'd be down for that.
Rue looks at Hugh.
Seems like a plan. Hmm.
Yeah, if that's what they want, then you guys ready now?
Yeah. Do you want to take one side? I'll take the other, and we'll meet in the middle.
I will
Sure.
perhaps say that, Vass, you may want to leave the far gap here, as it does have that 10-foot
Oh,
crackling.
yes. Yeah. No, I'm not going to take that with me. Absolutely not. I'll leave it with room for safekeeping.
Rue, you've got a far gap.
Maybe put
Understood.
like a blanket over it
Oh, I could do
to
better than a
dampen
blanket.
some noise.
True. Yeah, if and when they're ready, Rue would reach out and touch both of them to do a twin spell cast on invisibility.
So,
And can I do my sorcerer thing? I can!
woo!
I can use one of my sorcerer feats to reduce that to 1 sorcery point.
Heck yeah.
So, still gotta do some accounting.
I mean, it just means you've got more sorcery points for later.
Yeah, but I only have 3 uses of that boon as well, so I have to account for that one.
Well, it's been a long rest since your
Yeah,
last use of it, so.
right, yeah. Yeah, so I still have 2 uses left of that and 5 sorcery points and a bunch of spell slots.
So Rue reaches out, and you can feel your companion's magic settle over you like a cloak, and between the three of you, Hugh and Vash disappear to the eye. The two of you are invisible. So if you would like to stealth forward to investigate, your stealth rolls will be made at advantage.
And T2.
Now, I I just have to ask, do you keep to the edge of the lake? Or do you try and get closer by covering that, the bridge?
I think I'm bold enough to worst the bridge.
Okay. So,
Yeah, Vass had intended to get closer.
so, you each step over, and it's probably easier for stealthing if you're trying to get closer to go over the bridge than into the water, where even though you're invisible, you will displace what is there. As the wash is high, um, and it fills the area here. As you cross over this marshy lake, you do smell the decay that just fills the air. It seems like perhaps this is the source of that rotten fish smell. And as you get closer, you see the large, hastily made wooden gate that blocks entrance to the camp. The three figures that guard it, imposing with twisted draconic features. They don't seem to see you. They don't seem to hear you. But the doors are closed. And Rhubarb, I'm assuming, is getting sick behind the boulder.
It's just a little uneasy, fish and all.
Yeah.
Now that we're closer, what does the unknown flavor of Draconian look like?
I'm glad you asked. You see, that the figure here is, silver in its coloration, which is quite strange. Most of the more evil-aligned dragons are chromatic, not metallic. The wings are quite large, and it seems ready to take flight at any moment. It's just a brute. But as you see the figures a little bit up close, this is where we must take our second ad break for the evening. So, stick around with us. We will be, we'll be back here shortly to continue on our story. But I do ask that you hang around in our chat room and you let the ads run. Ads are a huge part of how we keep our games affordable here with Little Witch RP. So please don't mute them or leave us. You can also make a donation to my Ko-fi at any time. Ko-fi donations not only help support us at Little Witch RP, they also unlock awesome perks for our entire community, benefiting everyone who plays with us for the next month. Perks include special companions, new quests, and double treasure and double XP. So all sorts of fun things. Stick around. We'll be right back. Alrighty. We are back. Rue is behind a boulder, feeling a little queasy as the stench of rotting fish fills the air. That,
Rue is, I'll just interject. He's passing the time by casting minor illusion, like just on repeat on the Fargab and creating a rock illusion around it to just mask it a little bit more.
Okay.
Each time the rock just looks a little bit different, but it's like I have to cast that like every minute, so it's just something to keep Root busy.
Hugh and Vass are invisible, and have gotten a little closer. Walked over the bridge past the marshy lake, and you stand in front of the main entrance, where there are 3 Draconians that guard it. You can hear that there's more sounds on the inside, but the doors are closed to you. And the figures on watch do not seem to notice your presence. It seems that your stealth has gone successfully.
I'm assuming that Hugh and I chatted before we crossed the bridge about which direction each of us were going to go in.
I'd say that, yeah, you could have done that for sure. So, you will have to move. If you stay on this side, you will likely have to move through the water to in the certain areas because most of the portions of the bank that are not thick enough to traverse do have those bone spikes that come through the walls. The spurs that are in between the rocks and the mortars. But you can, of course, move about the lake and get a visual on where perhaps it might be best to sort of stage an attack. And why don't we go
Yeah.
for survival checks on that?
I just realized that that was water. I was like, why is there a bridge here?
It's the murky
Because I think
lake.
it's because it's brown.
Yeah, it's there's reasons why it's brown. You,
Big sign for that.
uh, Hugh and Vass. Before we get to the results of your rolls, who would have been going to the west and who would have been going to the east?
I think I'd be going east.
Okay.
Then I guess that means I'm going west. Young dude.
With a 9, Vass, you're able to spot to the northern side on this western edge is where a lot of the embankment around the camp seems to be thick enough that your party could stand on it and perhaps do some work against the wall. You understand the same thing, Hugh, from your explorations to the east, though the bone spurs seem to be quite prolific over here. And not to mention that there are, besides the guards at the bridge, you can see guards in the watchtower, both of you, that rise above those 15-foot walls, looking outwards. And the wash is high. Hugh, with a 22, there is movement in the water. Not constant, but there definitely seems to be something alive.
In the water?
In the water.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be an issue as well if you try to cross the water at areas where you may be able to take a direct attack against the walls.
Hmm. Okay. So I take a note of that and I keep on moving.
So, you keep on moving, and I will say that you. You do hear, again, no clarity, but the presence of more guards on the inside as you gain the knowledge. Maybe I should take a note of aquatic spiders. But the both of you are able to make your way
Don't.
back before the hour is up and your invisibility ends. And so you are hunkering down behind the boulder with Brew once more, now a bit more knowledgeable of potential areas that you could perhaps stage attacks on the walls. There is the way in through the main entrance, but it is guarded and likely kept guarded. And there is a watchtower. And then, of course, Hugh has the extra bit of knowledge that there's something in the water.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of questions
Yeah.
about what I would have seen on my little adventure. Um, how do the walls themselves look? Are they like sturdy, thick? Is it like how what quality is the wood? Is it
They are 15 feet high and they are made of driftwood. Um, they're sort of hastily thrown together. Um, and again, in between the portions of the walls at corners and joints, there are bone spurs that stick out as some sort of defense.
and were we able to figure out where the prisoners were being kept?
Not from this visual, because the walls are a little too high. But you have found that the northern portion of the camp has the most bank space so that your party could utilize um, should you wish to take a directed attack to the walls and, storm. I would say storm the castle, but it's not a castle, it's a camp.
Huh. Not something I'm keen to do a vampire down.
As you told us about the movement in the water,
I definitely would mention that.
did he get a sense of how big the thing in the water was? Or no?
Not quite a size, just that it was present.
Did it seem like a singular creature or like schools of creatures?
Uh, there were many bubbles from what you had seen.
Hmm.
Did you two get an idea of how many you think might be in there?
About dozens, we'd say, from
Ugh.
the 5 or 6 you were able to see, and then the sound of the others.
So we're about 90 feet away right now.
Right, but when you were
And
up
over.
in earlier, you would be able to kind of hear about
Mhm.
dozens or in there. You don't have a view of but 6. Um, but yeah, you're about 90 feet away, so you're out of earshot unless you're like screaming and hollering and making yourself known.
Um, I'm wondering if we should also do some nighttime recon to see how active the guard situation is in
I'm
the
not
nighttime hours.
sure we'd have any event. We might be even at a disadvantage at night compared with these draconians.
Even if we stayed where we are and just watched to see like how much activity.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to set up a watch, it is morning time now. How much time would you want to devote to the watch before reconvening of a plan?
I forgot it was first thing in the morning.
Close to it, right? We did get up and scale a little bit, but it's still pretty early, I imagine.
Yeah, I'd say that you'd be about looking at 10, 11 in the morning. You're not like super early. It did take a bit of travel time, but you have almost a full day ahead of you. If you want, you can spend that time watching and then uh, I would say that you'd gain knowledge without having to make really the roll because you'd be devoting a lot of time to doing that. So it'd almost be like taking a 20. Um,
I just don't want to make a plan without having a decent amount of knowledge because this seems like an incredibly dangerous situation if things go sideways.
it would definitely be a dangerous situation. But you're adventurers, you know all about that. Um, Taking the time to watch, a few hours. We'll say 4 to start, and you can always press onwards. Puts you just about middle of the afternoon. The people at watch on the door do not change, but you do see that about every 2 hours there's a patrol that comes out of the camp, walks the perimeter for about 30 minutes, makes a few laps. You see that it is about 5 to 6 soldiers, one a ranking officer based on the armor, before heading back in. And that seems to be the only time that those doors open for army soldiers. The shifts for the watchtower and for the door, the main entrance, don't seem to change, so it perhaps are shifts of day and night when those change. And that's most all that you see in these first 4 hours and what you piece together.
I'm like thinking back to when Vass dressed up like a dragon army soldier and tried to go to the front door and be like, "Hey, let me in." Although I don't think that went over too well, if I remember correctly.
No, I don't think I'll have any better of a chance here.
Do we know how many maybe did I already ask us how many prisoners or how many people like Ishvar said might have been captured, like from a scout or whatever?
Yeah, he did actually mention that. Let me go check those notes again. 4 were captured of their pilgrimage, uh, including the priest Yakal as part of that 4. Any others that were lost were killed.
So theoretically, if we can get to a point of freeing those prisoners, we have a party of 4 extras to potentially assist us,
Potentially assist you.
depending on how able-bodied they are.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Um,
Hopefully they ain't on death saves.
Well, there's only one way to find out, and it's getting on the other side of those walls.
Do I have any way to scout more or get in? When this parties the patrols come out, do they leave the gates open the whole time, or do they just
No.
open them?
They open it enough for figures to get out, gates close. And when the dragon army comes back to go inside, the gates open and then close again.
Wow, it's like they're being all cautious and stuff. How dare they?
where are the watchtowers located?
There is one
Where-
watchtower in the center. If you
Oh,
are
that's what
looking at
that
your
is.
map, it is the little square.
Okay, I wasn't sure. They're not on the wall.
Yep.
It's just, well,
If you zoom in close enough, you can see the ladder that goes down.
Wonder if they have like archers. Like, did it look like the walls are like thick or tall enough to support people being on top of them?
Not at all. Um, these are hastily thrown together driftwood walls. They're about 15 feet high, but it seems most of their defenses for these walls are the bone spurs that are in between the pieces of driftwood.
So, like, theoretically, if we went to the gates, it's a choke point and they can't, even if there's like 2 dozen soldiers inside, they couldn't necessarily all be attacking us all at once.
Unless they've got some capabilities of flight or magical transposition.
True.
All Draconians you've seen so far have wings.
this is probably a silly question, but I'm assuming the watchtower is such that you can have someone looking in all directions.
It is, it seems a open top. It
Open
doesn't seem
top.
to have a covering. And there are 3 soldiers that stand on that, each looking out in a different direction.
If we wanted to do a smash and grab, which I don't recommend doing, but in theory, it sounds like the driftwood would be shatterable.
Driftwood could be shatterable. At least a portion of it.
Mhm.
Well, I am prepared to take on the silver draconian if called upon.
If called upon.
If he rushes either of us, Hugh, I'll be sure to vortex warp you right in front of that silver one.
Oh, you would? Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. I
And
would
then it
dream of
has...
if you want first crack at him, you couldn't take it. But if you don't, okay.
Mhm.
And then as
I
soon
want to
as
steal
the
your kill.
vortex warp goes through, you realize he's a land shark. Um,
Ah. Add that to
Um,
my Rue notes. He's not fond of sharks anymore.
right?
Not fond
uh,
of sharks.
are the doors or the gates, whatever are they also driftwood or are they some other kind of?
Uh, it's a hastily made wooden gate. I wouldn't say that it is driftwood, but probably perhaps the wooden sort of portions of crates and boxes that have been repurposed. So the gates are a little bit sturdier than the driftwood, but also don't seem to have been made with the intention of being a gate. It seems that the wood was repurposed into this.
It doesn't sound like there's a particular weak spot. There's just the driftwood being, you know, great in general.
It seems like their weak spot has been all around them, but is made intimidating enough either by the presence of the Draconians and Dragon Army with bone spurs.
I guess what I would like to know, and I have no way of knowing, is why did they take EL prisoners? I could understand them taking someone like Becklin and keeping them prisoner because they want to get information. But the sea elves live out in the ocean and they only come this way once a year. So like what benefit would the Red Dragon Army have in keeping a few of those as captives?
Sounds like a question for the Red Dragon Army.
I wonder how many of them would chase after me if I just ran out there and started booking it. Probably wouldn't end well, though.
The only distraction I can think of that might do anything is if we split the party and Bess went around the outskirts, like on the other side of the water, on the outside, and then did shatter like in the water, maybe go a couple of times to have them be like, what is that? And then maybe the creatures would go over there too and be like, what's happening? I can only do that twice though, is
Mhm.
the thing. So I don't think it would keep them occupied for very long.
Well, I'll say that you'll have plenty of time to plan. Is this will be the end of our session this evening. You have a camp to infiltrate, and however you plan to do that, well, we'll see in our next session. So before we head out, I just want to say thank you to my players for playing. thank you to our viewers for viewing. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will see you all in the next stream. But until then, head over to littlewitch.com. Check us out there. Join us in our Discord to jump in a game yourself and keep up with all of our updates. And as always, may the ever-burning light forever guide your steps. Laters.